successful ones have been obviously the strict press, which has just come to brute strength.
Number 8, lane 1.
We are off. All of our athletes onto the monster number. That was a
Finley with a sub 40-second time.
I know.
I was not able to see the stage side.
All right, welcome back to another one of my interview series, and today's guest needs no introduction, but he's the one and only Dean Mcvie. Dean, how you doing, buddy?
Not too bad, mate. How's yourself?
I'm doing very good. Dean is basically won everything you can win in strongman. We did another episode before we had some technical issues, and once I get all that resolved, eventually I'll get that one posted, and that'll be like a part 1. But Dean made a comment in that last interview. He said he's almost like he was relating to a video game or something. You said I'm one map away or one mission away from completing the entire game, and that's what you're describing your strongman career as, is what you've won. And I'd say that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, I've got 2 I really want to tick off, and I'll keep giving it a shot. I won't stop until
that's the Arnolds and that's Worlds, correct?
Yeah, they're the 2 big ones. I done Arnold Ohio's there in March, and I placed 5th, and it's only top 4 that going into the finals.
Yeah.
But I got there by winning Arnold Europeans in Spain last year, which was great. I think there was like 25 guys or something in my category. A lot of Scandinavians and stuff over that side of the pond. That was tough. That was the same day weigh-in as well. So I made under 80 and then I had like 2 hours to replenish, and I just it was a good day, but it was like I just I need 24 hours to put like my actual weight back on. So I only had like 2.5 hours. But yeah, just OSG Worlds. I've done 4 of them. I think I came 15th, 8th, 3rd, like got on the podium, which was cool. And then I think I got about like 7th. It just wasn't. I didn't have too much of a good weekend that one. I didn't like last OSG's World. I didn't like the events. I didn't like much about it. Being pretty biased, I think Daytona Beach was pretty cool, but it did have to change location. It was like 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
It was getting a bit repetitive, and they're not wrong. They're not wrong, but
yeah. As far as last year you were on a complete tear. I mean, you basically won every show you stepped foot in. I remember watching just from your social media. Oh, I'm doing this show. I'm getting ready. Going to prep for this. Oh, water cutting. You're very active, showing your journey as you're in the gym throughout the week, and then when you get ready to cut down in water, you show where you're at. And I just remember my dad follows you as well, and I kept I kept back and forth with my dad, and I said, Dad, how is he doing this? He said, I don't know. I'm like, how can he keep doing these meets and keep coming back? And you did. You just kept coming. I actually was really praying for you. I was like, please don't burn the engine out when you get to OSG. But like you said, OSG was different events for you last year. They were different for everybody. I don't mean that, but some events are better for other people. And last year was kind of funny. Overall, it was better for me than I did, but I think it was mainly the mindset for me. But 2022 was Daytona, where you got 3rd, and that's where I first met you. Now those events, I remember those very well. That was really cool show. I thought so many things I didn't get a chance to do that show either. Was the dumbbell run through. I didn't get a chance to do the yoke, that stuff there. That looked pretty fun. But they brought the car yoke back for this year.
They did. The car yoke's good, man. It's definitely unique. Obviously, unless you've got an actual car yoke in your gym or somewhere, the best thing you could do is just doing yoke walkers or having some bands with plates hanging on the side to try and have that little bit of instability. But even then, it's just like getting under the car and just like rolling with it, because you're not going to get much time to warm up and all that, and it's pretty heavy on its own.
Now that car, Dean, it doesn't have like the safety squat bar set into that one, does it? It's just a straight bar across.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't even know how to describe it, man. But it's I pretty much, I think I talked about it in the first episode we done, which will be coming out. I pretty much broke my foot in 2021. I dropped a bit for use. I'm going to say about a 220-pound crucifix on my foot the day before I flew to Daytona. It was like my last event session. It was the last set. It was the last run through, and I dropped it and hit the pad and flipped over. So my foot was black. It was beat up, and I was like, I'm gonna have to still go. So I went with like a mashed foot, and like I can tolerate pain like enough, but it was about a 9 out of 10, like really, really, really bad. And obviously, you guys have got great painkillers, so I was covered there. Naproxen, as they call it, which you can just get in a 7-Eleven, which is nuts, because over in the UK, I'm sure we have to just get prescribed, but whatever. That's what's so good about the States. And then I just had to strap it up and get on with it. But then when I crossed the line, I think I got second because I got hyped up. I got really feral before it, because I was like, I'm going to be in pain here. And I was like, and I need to get these points, because I thought it was going to cost me so much.
Yeah.
So when I crossed the line and I done well, sadly, like the thing was, it's tires. So when you drop that car, you're going to know, because it goes like the traction on it. It doesn't slide like a yoke. So when I crossed the line on my bad foot, the tires hit the ground, and then my ankle internally and externally, so it went bang bang both ways, and then my foot blew up even more, and it was really bad. I've got like photos somewhere still, and that really hurt.
That was where the Crocs came from.
That's why I stuck Crocs on, because I literally I couldn't fit my foot in my shoe because my foot was so swollen. But then eventually, like obviously when I wasn't doing the events, like I'd just get the Crocs on, and then but like when I had to do the event or whatever I'm going to do, I just had to lace up and literally like jam my foot in the shoe on painkillers, etc. And I just had to get on with it. Did it affect my performance? Absolutely, but I think it definitely like wired my mind a little bit more and got a bit more, even more aggressive. But my plan was the first time I done OSG was 2018-19. I was just happy to be there.
Yeah.
Then the second time I was like, I want to get the finals. And I was cool with that. I'd done that. And then the third time I was like, I want to get on this podium now. Then I'd done that. And then obviously the fourth time I was on a kill. I was on a roll. But I was going for the win that time. Absolutely. Yeah. But it just sometimes it doesn't matter how well you're doing. Yeah. Momentum has to stop. Yeah. It has to. And my momentum slowed down there. And that's totally fine. Because I hold myself accountable. The prep was good. It just didn't happen. So what do? You address, you reassess what could I've done better or whatever. But even if I didn't do too well in certain events, it's almost not going to matter, because they're not going to be the same for the next year. But as long as you don't if you come across that again, you're like, right, I know this. Like I've made a lot of mistakes before. Yeah. But then it just becomes transparent when you go to another event, like another competition. Yeah. And that's where I tend to like, I'm not going to blow smoke at myself, but like it's consistency is what makes me win. I don't win all events. It's just consistency. But this was through me making mistakes in the past. Yeah. Yeah. This is all learning curves. Like I've done over, if it's strongman based, I've done over 40 competitions. Yeah. In my career, and that's excluding powerlifting, which like I've got the highest raw dots in Scotland. So I'm not ranked number one in Scotland, but in a formula, it's really good. Yeah. And then bodybuilding shows and all that, so it all adds up, man. But it's all just graft, man, and just I wouldn't change it for anything. I love it, man. But maybe not. I wouldn't do the bodybuilding shows again. That was created a bad relationship with food.
Yeah.
Pretty miserable.
Yeah.
Pretty miserable, man. Yeah, not good. It's you need to be a very selective individual to do that lifestyle.
Yeah. That is gosh, that is such a brutal sport. The behind the scenes that people don't see. The training is awesome. Bodybuilding training,
Yeah.
you can get into that, and man, that's great. You can go as hard as you can, get this 8, 10, 12, however you want to do it. I mean, that's a great way of training. But the diet and the outside, I mean, I only did it not to go compete on a show. I was thinking about it, but I was like getting as shredded as I could be. And I think I got down to 163, and I was just like,
yeah, that's like what, 75 kilo?
Yeah.
Because under
Yep.
80s is pretty much 175
75
pounds.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure it, because you guys speak in pounds, and that's a
Well,
different language to me.
I'm getting pretty good at doing kilos now because I've seen so much stuff. So I'm getting a lot faster.
We're doing all right, man. I've got a Canadian client, Robin, who's a great guy, and he's under 80s, and then I do all his programming,
Yeah.
and all his coaching in pounds, and I've just accepted that. I was like, I need to stop avoiding this and hold myself accountable instead of like making it easier for myself. So I do it on pounds, and I'm getting better at it, but it just sounds more.
Mine starts from 80 and up. I can go 80, 90 because I know the weight class is only 105. And then like the same thing, like watching all of you guys with your bench or however you do it, 100 kilos. Well, automatically I know that's 220 pounds, 110 kilos. That's about 42 in that range. Just keep going up, and then so from there, like the upper end, I got it. The lighter weight classes, I don't.
Aye, man, you don't have to just light weights, mate. But yeah, it's I've got a world record deadlift attempt next week.
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, so that's I don't like suited. It's just the way it is. I don't like it. I know people like it, and that's fine. But I'm raw all the way. I may in future convert to suited, but at the moment I don't see any reason why, because I still compete in powerlifting. So that changeover transition is just, instead of using straps, I'm just going to use mixed grip for powerlifting. But yeah, I'm going to do 340 kilo, whatever that is in pounds. The current raw underrated record.
725 pounds, maybe a little more.
That's a phone job, like, to find out. So yeah, 340 is a under 80. So yeah,
that's a huge deadlift, Dean. Are you doing that? You said you're doing that over under grip or straps on that?
Just straps. Yeah, I'll
but
straps
raw all the way. Yeah.
Yeah, just a belt and strap.
No, Dean, I robbed you 20 pounds. That's 750 pounds.
That's all right for an under 80, mate. I've done it.
I'd say so.
So the reason I put it out there and spoke to Stuart Murray, who runs Scotland's Strongest Man finals, he's been doing that for years, and he's sort of like, he's a godfather of Scottish strongman. That's what I say. Sort of an older dude from Dumfries, and he's a great guy that just done so much for it. He's pretty much the one that got, in my opinion, the Stockman brothers on the map, because he's the one that was the guy who was running these Scotland's Strongest Man finals, and then it was a lead to Brits and Europe's Worlds for them. But yeah, I'm just gonna a one UK strongest man under 90s. I know I identify, we'll say, as a under 80, but now and then I'll do an under 90. And I won UK's, which was a massive one I wanted to tick off. I was actually against one of my good friends, Jake Allen, who's now the current Europe's strongest man under 90. So I won it, and he got second. And this dude is big. Like, he put 10 kilo on after a 24-hour weigh-in. Like, he was 100 kilo in the day, and I was like, and he's relatively tall. And I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do here, man. But it was so close, us back and forth. And that's just the way the sport is. And it's always just the way the events are as well. If it was certain other events, he would have got me. If it was the ones I had, I just got him. but it was all total respect as always. Aye,
Talking about this deadlift, just watching your progress too, and just how long you've competed, your deadlift has gone up again this year pretty significantly. I mean, you agree with that, obviously.
Yeah, man. What I do is, like, if I want to get a better deadlift, obviously I'll do deadlifts, but I'll do like a lot of eccentric work, so a lot of negative work, a lot of barbell hip thrust, safety bar good mornings, just a lot of posterior chain work. And just trusting the process of that and just being patient. But at this level now, and again, I'm grateful for the level I'm at this, it's so incremental now. Like a 2.5 kilo PB is big now, you know what I mean?
Yes.
That sort of golden years of when people start, they get vast improvements, which is great with adaptation. But for us, it's like, and yourself, it's so minute and small because it's like the stimulus is, we're trying to seek it, aren't we?
Yeah.
But it's,
that's something too. I can completely agree with. It takes so long. Like, the funny thing is, Dean, when I first started really training deadlifts, I was early teens, later. It took me nothing. I mean, first time I ever picked up a bar, I was doing 300 easy. Then very quickly after that, I got to 400 really easy. And then I played sports and I didn't pick it up again till I was 18 in that range. As soon as I came back to it, got to 500. From 500 to 550, it was just train harder, train more. Then from that number to 600, that took me for forever. I had to learn so many things because I picked up injuries and this and that. And then from 600 to 630, that was different again. And then this year, as soon as I always assess, I know you do it too. But when I leave a contest, if you have progress, you pat yourself on the back where you had progress, but you always look at what needs to be better. Realistically, what needs to be better for that next step. And last year Worlds, missing out on going to the final by a point or two, I was like, okay, where am I dying here? And it didn't matter that the rest of us were really close in just being with the 3-bar deadlifts. The time killed me. But I told myself, if you're stronger in deadlifts, time didn't matter there. I wasn't strong enough, So I went back. Yeah. And then this year I've done it differently than I've done. But, I'm just thankful this year to have another big jump. You don't get very many big jumps. But it was funny, 550 to 600 was like the hardest one. 600 to 630 wasn't too bad. And then now, I just did a 665 on an axle. Now that was with a suit, but that was a big milestone for me just to put that out there and not even pull from what it was last year.
That was on the online qualifier, wasn't it? Because I was keeping my eye on it. Like, I was just watching what guys were doing. And I was intentionally watching yours because I wanted you to get through as well. I was like, because your numbers were good, and I was like, he's going to be all right. But at that last minute, people put their posts on, they put their videos in. They're wise guys, mate. And some guys will put like videos in and pretend that's what they are.
Yep.
And then they'll put the real, like, not pretend, but like they do the videos, but then they just get better and all sorts of stuff. And it's almost like guys are almost like playing bluffs with each other. It's all mind games, man. I had to do it like once.
Mind games.
Oh, totally, man. Like I had, like, again, I won't mention him because it's one of my clients. So he didn't get through to the top 10, but like he was like trying to like talk about it and like this and that, and like he was at one point he was in like 11th, and then we were trying to push it a bit more. But then I was thinking, I was like, there's going to be a couple of wise guys coming out last minute. And then it pulled it down, and I was just like, you know what? And at least he actually gave it a shot. But it was just like, we just need to go back and get stronger.
Yep. Yeah. Well, that was the thing. That was the whole thing that I told myself last year. I said, if I can get, not just like, I like dumbbell, I like being explosive, like on axle, things like that for overhead press. But I was like, if I can just get my raw strength, like 2022, when you and Josh Kowalewski came out there and just decimated the Viking press, I just looked at that and I said, okay, that's a different level right there. You know, as soon as I saw you in person, you were the first person I thought, okay, there's levels to it. You know, we're not in Kansas anymore, whatever the phrase is. But I was like, we've got to step up. So after 2023, I just said it doesn't matter. Everybody's so they have to do all their events and all this specific stuff. I was like, I'm already naturally pretty good at that stuff. My deadlift is down in comparison, and my overhead is down. So I took 6 months on just that. Well, 300-pound log for a double, that was pretty good too, coming up, and I know I've got more in there, because the truth is I only was training the overhead with a barbell or axle because I was banking on it be one of those. I said, if it's a log, fine, but I'm going to master this first, because you can't master it all. I gambled. It was wrong. So I only had 6 or 8 weeks to do the log, but my strength was still there. So it was okay. I picked it back up.
Yeah, it's, always sort of being in a state of readiness, we'll say, is like just keep training. Like, some people take a bit of time off. I get it. Like, we need that down regulation so we don't actually burn ourselves out. Some people can jump straight back into it. An example of what I done last year, I just had to be high octane for about like 6 months, but I was just riding on the wave of wins and stuff, which is rare. But again, I was grateful. But I was still training between it and being in that state of readiness, and it was just like one prep after another.
Yeah.
Some things were a little bit closer than I'd like, but that's just the way it was. For example, I'd done Arnold Ohio's, like I said, in March there, and obviously it wasn't as successful, we'll say. If I got to the finals, the top 4, there would have been trouble for the other lads, because I had a lot in me. I was almost shouldering like a double bodyweight sandbag. Like, I got 150, and I was like, right, we're ready to go. The nickel walk, I was actually on the phone to Brett Nicol, who actually does the nickel stones for Scotland, and I had the rings specifically made, and it was a tire deadlift, and I was doing like 350 kilo or something on it, and I just had to get to the finals, and I knew I was going to give Josh a run for his money then, but unfortunately, I missed it by 1 point, just due to the surface on the floor on the Ohio's. But it's one of them. I would say it was maybe, I wouldn't call it an equipment failure, but I think they should have maybe considered the flooring for something that required traction with feet, because everyone's doing it barefoot, and I was slipping around the joint, and I was like, I don't want it, because I was in second place going to the third event or something. I think it was the 4th event where we're going into, and then just unfortunately I lost too many points. But again, I was grateful to be there. But I was livid, man. It's the one time in my whole strongman career, we'll say, that I felt like quitting. It's the only one time. It's
now,
because the journey of it.
Why was that one so significant that you felt that way compared to others? Just because of what was riding on that one?
Yeah. So, for example, like I talked about the Arnold Europes, I went over to Spain on my own. I went to Madrid, done the water cut, stayed in a hostel. It sucked as well. It was really bad. Same day weigh-in, respectively beat the other 25 so guys, and it was hard. And I celebrated that. And Magnus Magnuson actually gave me my trophy as well, which was pretty cool. And then they played for with Scotland, which is obviously our anthem, we'll say. Yeah. And then I've always wanted to go to the Arnold Ohio's, mate. I've always wanted to go. And again, I already had 3 OSG's worlds under my belt. I already had 3 OSG Europes. I was like, right, now we need to do the big one now. So didn't obviously get to the finals, we'll say. But 2 weeks later after that, there was the Arnold UK's. So what do? I'm in a state of readiness. and it's a thing also called spite. I went to the Arnold UK's, and guess what I done? I won the Arnold UK's. And then that automatically qualified me for the next Arnold Ohio's. So I literally got slapped out the way, didn't get to the finals. Then I went, okay, 2 weeks later, done Arnold UK's, and I qualified for next year's one.
Yeah.
So I was cool with that because it was like I kept saying, I was like, watch this revenge.
Yeah.
Or like I was saying, like redemption and that. And I didn't want to sound too cheesy about it, but I was angry, man. Like I was like, this is it. So then I done like the events were pretty good. 250 kilo deadlift for reps. I done like 12 in a minute, and I just stopped because I knew the other guys weren't getting near it.
Yeah.
But this was just I was a very angry boy. The Arnold UK's was great as well, man. But the Arnold Ohio's is that's the bread and butter right there. It's really good.
It's funny. It's funny how certain shows just have that title that you have to have. You know, you could be, I'm not going to talk about anybody else too much on here because this is your show, but even look at like Tom Stoltman. He always comes into World's Strongest Man, peak condition every time versus any other show. I mean, he oftentimes doesn't do very good at these other shows, but on his day, when he goes and wants to put it down on the show that matters, you know, it's funny how much we wrap up. I mean, we'll almost give anything for those titles. World's Strongest Man, you know, and like Arnold's is another big one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, like recently, like his competitiveness, like has he been placing as high as usual? But that's fine because he's like what 3 times World's Strongest Man. 3? I should probably know that. Anyway, he's got he's got a few, but he delivers when it counts, and that's what matters, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Well, that's the way the sport is, you know. If you're constantly just winning, always, then you're not a competitor.
You're just a winner.
That's the way I look at it. You're just winning all the time. It's like, and then when you get beat, people will spit their dummy out, and they're not being humble. They're not being nice. Yeah. And that says enough about someone's character. Yeah. Yes, you can be competitive as you can be, and that's great. But sometimes you need to taste the humble pie. And
you do.
People don't like it. No. People don't like getting beat. No. None of us like getting beat, but it happens.
You know something that's so funny, Dean, too? What you said there sparked some thoughts. When you look at top level athletes in any sport, even like we'll just use the Olympics, for example, they had that the sprinters, you know, doing that 40-meter dash or whatever it is. And over the past 100 years, that record has only gone up by 1 second. Now, 1 second is huge. I get it. But you talk about 100 years people before, and they were starting on a hole in the dirt. They didn't have the start blocks, and it went up 1 second. And when you got the guys that are all competing, the guy who's in 10th to very first, same thing in the top 10, I'd say, in our sport to an extent. They're all pretty much the same. Yeah, you got different bodies, this or that, but everybody has the same amount of strength or this or that. They all are pretty tight. It honestly comes down to who's the most recovered, who has the most ready to go, and just sometimes people come out on win. They just have a more knack to constantly be a winner. You know, Magnuson was like that. You know, there's just some people, you know, I kind of look at a guy who is one of the strongest, in my opinion, to never win, you know, is JF Karan. You watch everybody go compete and train with him. I mean, in the gym, what he lifts, his back squat, he just destroys people. But he doesn't have the titles. I mean, you go up against Martins, Lisis, and guys like that, and Hooper. I mean, they win, and he doesn't. You know, I mean, and that's always blown my mind.
JF is like a hidden goat because he's done it. Like you look at consistent turning up, he's like one of the greatest.
Yeah, I agree.
And you need to respect that. Just like we're like, for example, like you guys have got JF Karan sort of over your side. We've got Mark Felix.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Mark Felix is a friend of mine. He's an absolute gentleman. But he's just like, and he's also, I'm sure he's a vampire because he looks like he just doesn't age and he just competes. So that's
like my whole point with that. A lot of people will overlook a lot of legends or people. I guess it's because they're not in the sport. And if you're not in the sport, it's the same way, whether it be soccer or football, whatever you guys call it, or football, American football for us. We have people that watch that and they always critique, oh, he should have done this, should have done, and they can't do any of it, And when you look at guys like JF and Jerry Pritchett, just some of the legends, the people that have just been legends, and a lot of times they'll get overlooked like they're not as good. And I'm like, do you know? And we talk so much about the deadlift going up, going up, going up. But when you had prime Jerry Pritchett, JF Karan, Brian Shaw, and Thor all in one competition doing their heavy deadlifts, we talk about deadlifts now like it's just so much crazier. They were pulling it on that Rogue Ohio elephant bar raw, and they're pulling well into the thousands. Eddie Hall, they're all pulling well into the thousands. When they put that bar back in at the Rogue Invitational, things like that, JF Karan walked up there and did a warm-up with 926, and that was the winning lift, and everybody else is way down, and they were like, how did you do that? And he just laughed and said, however many years ago, he said, I would have had to open with this, and this wouldn't even have been a top 5 lift at all, not even close. Yeah. So it just gets funny to me. People forget all that stuff. They have that one night where 8 guys pulled 1,000 pounds, and they all did, but you've got suits, and I love all that stuff. But if you want to get into strong, they always look at numbers. It's not always that is the strongest, It's such a weird thing. I don't even know exactly where I'm going with that, but those guys, that was the top deadlifting era, and we keep trying to say it's increasing, it's increasing. I don't really know that it has since then. Those guys put it on the map.
I think that was at its peak, and there's always going to be like little bits like going on like with that because it was raw, and I just again I'm biased, man. I don't care, and that's fine. I just think raw is more impressive. I don't like the idea of relying on a suit, like a material, like like Tony Stark and his Iron Man suit, and then you get Captain America turning around and saying, "Stick a suit on." You know what I mean? It's like what you got. You know what I mean? Like some people are so efficient in a suit and good on them, but like I don't know. Yeah.
But I got a question for you with that. I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to circle back to it. In a sport that it is allowed. Obviously, if it's allowed, you're going to take the advantage. That's where I'm at with it. I feel like last year, that's kind of why my deadlift jumped this year. It wasn't that I just got so much stronger. I definitely did, but I said, okay, last year I was wearing this suit. It did nothing for me. This year, I learned this other suit, and my number goes way up again. For you, somebody who's chasing everything on that title, in your mind, would you be more satisfied in your mind to say, well, I didn't win, like if it came down to it, I didn't win Worlds, but I'm more proud of myself because that point I missed was because I was going raw, versus being able to say, because I had the suit, it gave me that extra point to put me over the top. How do you weigh that out in your mind? And is that something you think?
I get you, man. Like I said, like inevitably, I am going to use a suit, but with OSG mainly, and even Arnold Ohio's, the suits aren't as allowed. You know what I mean? Like sometimes are, sometimes are not.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm in a state of readiness because I just do it raw.
Sure.
I know some guys that are really good in a suit.
Yeah.
But you take that suit off, they're not as good.
Nope.
And that's fine because that's the whole bloody point of it. But you don't also want to create a reliance on it.
Sure.
Does that make sense? But I do believe why people stick one on, and it is a necessity for some people, and it will help them get more points in an event. But I'll transition to one soon enough, because if I get this, to me this record, because I've already pulled 340 at UK Strongest Man under 90s.
Sure.
And I weighed it like 86 kilos or something as well. But I'll do the water cut, I'll make the weight, get 24 hours or so and do it. But I want to seal this. So like this is like No one's ever done this. Like Lewis Blackwood, a good English friend of mine's, under 80s, he pulled 338.5 at the Arnold's about 3 years ago, and it was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And he's like, his ape index is unbelievable. Like, he is designed to pull as well. Like, he's so good. He's actually quite a good presser as well, but he's got the arm length as well. Like, his hands are like almost touching his knees.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I was like, I want that. I want a piece of that. And then now I'm doing it at Scotland Strongman Finals next weekend in front of about 1,000 people. Yes, the Stockmans are there as well. They'll be cheering on.
It's gonna be awesome.
It's going to be cool, man. It's on the OSG live stream as well, etc. I'm actually part of the commentary for the live stream as well. But I'm just gonna because I like to help out, man. I'm not getting paid for it. I don't want to. I just want to do my bit, and as I say, grow the sport and put it in the right direction. I like to consider myself one of the good guys. I just want it to organically grow, and I back it up as well. And when I'm on that live stream, I've got that knowledge. If the other the commentators will say, Nick and Keldo, who's doing it, they can ask me questions, and I'll usually just answer them quite easily because I've been there and done it. Not at the finals, but other events, etc. And that's a good thing about it because it's a good wee trio that's going to be. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to speak in one of the events, and then I'm going to disappear for one event, do the world record, and then I'm going to jump back into the live stream.
Oh, that's going to be hype. After you come back in there, you're going to be...
Yeah, I'll be like, anyway, I'll be like, just
eyes off glassed over.
I know, I'm like, you look really wired, Dean. I'm like, I wonder why. I'm not going to talk about it.
Yeah, crazy madman coming back.
Yeah, so that'll be quite funny, and I'll try and humorize it as well because I really, really want to like do the world record, and then come back on the live stream and go. So yeah, anyway, what were we doing?
Yeah,
like that, and just like
that's cool.
But yeah, that'll be quite funny because I'll do my opener's 300, and then I'll do 320, which will be 10 kilo over the current Scottish record anyway. So even in the second lift, I've got a Scottish record, which is we're at Scotland Strongman Finals. People love that.
Yeah,
people love seeing Scottish records getting broken. It's just one of them. Then we go for the big fish on the third one.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be really cool.
Should be all right, mate.
Well, I was getting ready to say too. Well, shoot, I don't want to take away from that. Well, I'll go back to it. We were talking about the deadlift too, and then the deadlift suit. I'm with you. I like the raw, but if they're gonna let the suit do the suit, but 2022. When they had that big blow up over the people wearing briefs and this and that and it's back and forth, and then they just said the suit. In my opinion, it could change, but in my opinion, it's got the title. It's Worlds. How they've always done Worlds at the top open category. They let them do whatever. You want to wear a suit, wear a suit. And they're going to keep it now, I feel like, that same affiliation. Like, you're going to go ahead. Just brung what you brung and go with it. It's too complicated. The Arnold's is no suit. It's no suit. The Worlds is suit, so it's kind of one of those deals.
It's going to be, you know what, if they allow it, great for the people that use a suit, i.e. like yourself, use it. Yeah. Why not?
I finally said I got to. I mean, when I started this in 2015, my deadlift was great, and it was not great anymore.
No, I know.
I was like, I got to get myself. I can't be dropping points. I've got to get my deadlift in the top 10. Period. Because if you're not there, it's too many points. You look at the greats like Mateusz Kieliszkowski. I mean, that guy would have literally won so many shows if his deadlift. What a terrible Achilles heel. I can't even understand why his deadlift wouldn't be good. He's got a massive frame that he can pick up and sprint with. It makes no sense, but it's just that position. He's not able to get in that position. And that's something I've tried to learn too, especially watching I know genetics play a huge role in how you're built 100%, but you can kind of manipulate that to an extent as well. What's his name from England? Richard Molnar, or how do you pronounce it?
Yeah, Richard Molnar. Yeah.
That guy is another one built to deadlift. But when
Yeah.
you watch him do it, him, Ben Donnan, you, well, I'm just going to do you three. That's my first. That's my three. You guys are all built totally different, but you all have a very similar pull. And I've noticed and your stances aren't the same either. They're relatively the same, but they're not exactly the same. But it's very much hinging how you guys get into position. You are into such a good position. You can be too far over the bar, too back. I get all that, but the way you guys are, that bar goes in such a straight line. You're just getting it just makes total sense biomechanically. And watching a lot of Chris Duffin stuff and him talk about it, that's everything in deadlift. So I've
That's
tried.
Kabuki strength, innit?
Yes, it.
Yeah. I've got a couple of Kabuki strength tops. I've got the whiskey and deadlifts one, and I've got the Grand Goals one, which I got like a good 8 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like Chris Duffin. He's crazy, the mad scientist.
Yeah, he's the man. He's the man.
Aye.
You're talking
But yeah,
about. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead. Finish.
It's Richard Molnar's. He's an incredible deadlifter, and you know what? I think I think a lot of people viewed him as just he's only good at deadlift, but to be fair, he actually got third OSG Europe's, which is great. He just pulled up his overhead, which cost him a bit at times, and he just got himself on the podium, which was great. Ben Donnan's obviously just he's like a rare shiny Pokemon.
Yeah.
He's also just transferred over to powerlifting now.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, good on him. You know what I mean? Statically, he doesn't have to like. I think longevity wise, you'll last longer in powerlifting because it's just like the one motion. You're just up and down, squat, bench, and deadlift.
So he's walking away from strongman for a little while.
Yeah, I think he might be done.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's one world's strongest man under 80s, man. Like, it's enough to just be like, that's enough. You know what I mean? It's like, I'd be pretty content with that, man.
Yeah.
And he seems like, the water cuts were kicking his ass a lot. And then if he has to, he's going to have to convert to under 90 because he's putting so much tissue on. And that's just the way it is again. Which is something it's starting to get quite difficult with water cuts, and I'm going to have to start water loading in 2 days. I'll make weight, but it just hurts more.
We talked about you on one of my first interviews with the guy, and we were talking about filling out your weight class. And I said, even though I'm kind of tall, one of the taller-ish guys in my weight class, not really. I'm still only 5'7", 5'8", so that's good. But I said I always have extra fat. I always have extra fat to be able to lose, and I just can keep. I was like, I really feel like I can be in this weight class for a while with that. And we said, you look at a guy like Dean Mcvie, he has got every ounce of muscle on. For him, it's not, I need more muscle. Oh, that's not his issue. He's got it. He's just got to keep himself recovered, keep refining the movements, and just keep extracting every little bit of pound he can get because, where are you going to get more muscle on that frame at really and be under 80? That's a conversation. Not meaning you can't get better. I don't mean that at all. Louis Simmons always had that phrase, big ain't strong, strong is strong. And that is true. But
he's totally right, man.
You definitely, I can imagine it's harder because you have to stay like in peak shape year round.
It's water cuts suck, man, as you know. Some people they don't have to do as big ones, but it's like I'm totally fine with what I have to do because anytime I do a water cut and they do hurt, I say suffer now, laugh later.
Sure.
So that potentiation of strength and being bigger is there because it's like I'll come in, I'll put like 8 kilo on after 24 away, and I come in at like 88 kilo. And that's fine. Another guy that does struggle to make weight, but he does, is Chris Harper, who's obviously the current world's strongest man under 80s and Europe's and Brits. He's big, like really big. And I think he's actually going to go up a weight class next year. I think this is his last time as an under 80 at Worlds. He's going to try and win it again. Good on him. And see what happens there. But it's just like, it's to a point of like, this is damaging my health. Like, this is damaging his health. I'm okay now, but I'm a bit like, a bit not worried about him, but like there's a point where you're thinking like you're going to cause like acute damage to like your organs, etc. Because it can happen. But again, we're adults, so he'll make the weight and he'll get to OSG Worlds again. But I think he's going to go up because his frame's massive.
Yeah. For you, Dean, are you going to try to rock 80s all the way until you win the title and go from there, or do you think going to like what is your plan?
I was nodding when you were saying that when you weren't looking, mate. Like, I'm not going to. I will literally not stop, mate. It's just the way it is, and I'll do the other comps on the side and all that just to stay nice and zealous and ready. But again, like you said, I'm very humble on that. But like I've won pretty much every title in the world, apart from the Arnold Ohio's and OSG Worlds. I won Scotland's, Britain's, Europe's, the Arnold Europe's, Arnold UK's, Arnold Britain's, Pro Strongman League. All sorts of stuff, man. And you know, it's all situations and all different water cuts and different events, different competitors. And I've made mistakes in all them. You know what I mean? But again, that's what defines you as a competitor. We're going to make mistakes, but as long as you learn from it, you'll develop better. And just try and keep injury free. At the moment, I've got a couple of niggles, so I'm taking a week off and getting a physio and all that and get myself fixed. But I won't stop until World's Strongest Man happens.
That's my next question. When you win World's Strongest Man, which you can't really yeah, there you go. You can't really answer that yet, I guess, because you know you've not won that yet. But when in your mind you've done this long enough that you would know better than I'd say any other person who's chasing that. Would that be enough, you think, or would you retire from strongman? Where would you go from that?
What if when
you win? When
inevitably happens, we'll say. I like the word inevitable. That's a bit more a nice, cool word. That is a very deep question as well, mate, because it is part of my personality and it's created that, and it's also created a business for me, and I'm grateful for that. So I need to also think about relevance as well. I will stop when I think I didn't even know what to say when the time is right. When you're thinking, you know what, and it's something you can't dictate that, you can't predict it, etc. I've got a few more years in me, man.
Oh yeah,
I'm enjoying myself. You know, as long as I'm having fun and I'm going to these amazing places and I'm meeting amazing people and like, you know, we connected through Strongman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We never done Strongman, we never know each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's things like that I'm grateful for. I've met some of the most interesting people in the world.
Sure.
Through the sport. And I wouldn't change that for nothing.
Yeah.
I do this to explore as well, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Not just to be a competitor, but that keeps me on my toes as well.
Sure.
We'll have our own driving factors. Initially, it was more like just trying to prove that I was worth something.
Yeah.
But now it's like I'm just genuinely enjoying it and having fun.
Yeah.
But I need to tick that walls off, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait for it. I hope I can be there when that happens. That'll be something to see.
Mate, you're going to be at every OSG World. You're getting in the finals this year, man. I believe it.
That's been my biggest push. It's been a great off season for me though. It really was. And now I'm pretty much starting my prep for Worlds. So we'll see what the rest of the events are. Real quick too, I've almost forgot about this so many times. I've never talked to you about this. Where in the world did you come up with the idea to do the 500 kilo yoke? Why did you do that?
I just felt a bit, I don't know, a bit excited. And I was like, I want to take 500, I want to take half a ton for 5 meters. Yeah, I dropped it a few times, but I still shifted it. So who cares?
Okay, I just did the qualifier and I did 928. Now, just being completely honest, 928 for 20 feet, no drops. It really didn't feel too terrible. It was heavy, but it did not feel like it was crushing my soul. Like it was absolutely, it didn't feel, I knew when I did it, I said, That's the heaviest. That's going to be the heaviest on this qualifier. But I said I could do 1,000 if I needed to. Now I wouldn't want to, but I felt like, yeah, I've got that in me. With that being said, the margin for error doesn't exist with that weight. I mean, I watched a guy do that same weight in a weight class or two above me, and his leg just blew apart. I mean, it just snapped, boom. I mean, he took a step. Yes, he posted it. I cannot remember what his name is. I follow him. He follows me. He took a step. He took a step. It was right at the end of the line, and it was just where he's almost trying to fall into it because he was just at that point. And he took that step and planted, and that leg busted. I mean, it blew apart. And I looked at my dad, and I said, I am so thankful that this is done. I was like, I hope I never have to do this again. Not because it was so bad, but because I know the risk is there for that, you know?
Oh,
I mean,
totally, man.
The risk is there for 750, but when you've got that much weight, any step could be done.
Yeah,
and
man.
so you going in there hitting 500 kilos, I don't think people even understand what that is.
You know what's interesting is that you're appreciative of it, and I'm more than happy with that. But in the grand scheme of things, people don't care.
No.
It's just like, and that's fine. But I just wanted to test it, and I started bleeding from my head.
I know.
Like blood started coming from my head somewhere. Don't know where. And I was like, yeah, I like that. I was like, that's like, I want to get back to like being like a bit more gritty in the sport, a bit more like an actual strongman, because I think the sport's getting a little bit soft and everything's just nice and all they do it and everything's perfect. I'm like, I used to train in one of my guys' front gardens and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, the 500 kilo yoke, I just wanted to push it, man. I've done 450 kilo for 10 meters, no drops.
Yeah.
I don't think I dropped it. But, I personally think yoke is one of the true tests of strength.
I agree.
What's more natural than having something on your back and walking with it? We can go back.
Takes your legs, takes your core. Your core has to be insanely strong. And then on top of that, your upper back has to be insanely strong, because when you've got that much weight, try to walk with 900, 1,000, whatever it is, and take a breath and keep this position and not cave. Just a breath can do it. I got my massive breath of air, and when I got to probably 12 feet, I knew I've got to take a breath. I've got to take a breath now. And when I did that, my dad told me afterwards, he was watching me. He saw a look of concern on my face, like as I was walking with it, because and in my mind, I was so conscious of it. It's like I was almost like, I was like out of like watching myself do this. And I was like, okay, now take the breath. Okay, we didn't cave, finish it, no problem. But it's like people don't get that. I mean,
the key with a good yoke and not to drop it is like taking many sips of air. So it's like this, like, and that also should be like your diaphragm. So you're like this. So you're keeping. It's not the best way. Like you're not going, because the second you do that, you go, and then everything goes, and then you'll fold. But if you're like take a big enough breath, and it's like that's keeping that diaphragm contracting, but you're also oxygenating just enough to keep in that tension position, just for future anyway. But I've seen so many guys just take a big breath and just ride the wave, and that's fine. But it's a gamble.
It is because when you get to that point, you've got to breathe, and that's funny that you mentioned that. I didn't even think about that, but especially if you're doing fast or frames, I've noticed what you were talking about there. That's just how I've done it. Like, because you can't get that big breath, you cave. And even when I did the heavy yoke and I got to that point, I took a breath. It wasn't like, when I got to that point, it was like, it was just tight, just enough to keep me to finish to that line. Yeah. Because you can't lose tightness. You lose tightness, it's over.
Yeah. But no, it's interesting, mate. But it's done now. You qualified, so you're over there in Wisconsin.
They've not sent me my invite now. We're all waiting on it.
What place did you? Were you in?
Third. First place got 133 points. Second got 132.5, and I got 132.
That'll do. That'll do very nicely. Yeah. I think Maximilian got first.
Yeah, he did. And the thing is he and I had the heaviest log because he had 8 pounds heavier log than me, which he's a monster on log. I was just happy to be pushing to it. Then the deadlift, I think he had one of the heaviest deadlifts, and then I had the heaviest yoke out of it. But the sandbag, which it doesn't matter, who cares? It's a qualifier. As long as I send me my invite, I don't care. But the sandbag ended up being a big deal as far as points. The day before, I got 9 reps on the sandbag. That would have put me in first place, but we weighed it and did all that, and then we shut the camera off, and I forgot to measure the course.
Oh, man.
I turned the camera right back on and measured it, but I messaged Lynn, and I was like, if he doesn't message me back by tomorrow, I can't wait. I'm not going to gamble on this. I got to do it again. So I went ahead and did it again the next morning by myself. My dad, nobody was there to help me on that one, so I did it again by myself. I mean, the very first thing that morning, and ended up getting 8, but I was like, it doesn't matter. I can still be proud of that. Everything was set up. I had the tape measure and the video. I mean, everything was set before I did it, so.
You need to look at it this way, man. Like, all you had to do is just qualify, because being number 1 on that roster, we'll say, means jack shit when you go to OSG Worlds, mate.
Versus number 9, it wouldn't have been any different.
It's not going to mean anything, but it was just get your name in and qualify like what you done, man. So, but I know comparison is a stealer of joy, and lads are really bad for it, looking at the numbers.
Oh, yeah.
But it's natural as well, isn't it? So,
well, I needed it. I needed it just as a confidence boost. The online qualifier was always intimidating to me. I don't really like that format. I don't really like the way it is, but it's intimidating because you've got all these massive numbers that get thrown up. And I was like, I don't know if I'm statically to that point yet. I still need more time. I mean, I've literally felt confident this year I could turn up to any one of the qualifiers in the States and won it. And when I went back and looked at the numbers, I'm not trying to talk bias, but I could have, just looking at what the numbers were. I mean, I could have done that. So to me, I was like, one, I need to level up in the sport. And what's going to push me the hardest? Well, this is what I'm more nervous about, which is funny. Most people are more comfortable. But for me, I was like, I feel good when I'm around people competing now. That's when I can do better. Doing it this way is rattling me. It's like I don't feel like I'm good enough. I've got to get that head sorted. I did it that way. And then the other driving factor was it saved me about $600-700. So that's nothing for you guys who compete all the time, but I didn't want to go pay that.
You know what? I don't blame you, man. The only reason I didn't have to do it is because if you get to the top 10, you qualify for the next one.
Yeah, because you're just.
And I'm just like, honestly, man, I'm like this. Like at least I don't have to worry about that now. Because I remember seeing you after, and I was before we left and that, and like your kid, I remember holding your kid, and it was the second child I've ever held in my hands. And my first one was my nephew, and I always remember that. And I was like, and I say to you, I was like, I don't like holding kids, but I was like, I need to hold your kid. Let's get a photo. And I was like,
yeah. That was great.
It was just a nice touch just to show like the respect and that I had for you, mate. And it was just, because I feel mega uncomfortable holding a child because I'm like, they're so like, especially the size of your kid at the time, is like how precious they are, and how vulnerable they are. And I'm like, oh my God,
Well, don't worry about it. Next time you see her, she's like a football now. You can just throw her around.
I remember like you showed me a photo or a video, and I was like kids grow quick, don't they?
Yeah, she loves coming down here and working out. When I work out, she watches me do like reverse hypers and stuff like that. So she'll lay across my sandbag and she'll start raising her legs up, and she grunts and once you see her stuff, she does all kinds of stuff like that. So she's a lot of fun.
That's cool, man. That's good. I like that,
man. Yeah. Well, how much more time you got on here, Dean? You want to spend some more, or are you good there? What do you want to do?
I think, mate, you know what? We landed an hour. I don't know if there's any other any kind of questions. It's up to you, man. I'm an open book.
I'll tell you what.
To talk over, mate.
For a part 2, we'll leave it there. That's been a very good episode. I enjoyed that.
It's good, man. That was more like a casual chat. The other one was more a Q&A, we'll call it. But I'm always grateful for that, man. It's just you bringing me onto this. Hopefully it can just reach out to other people and give them an incentive, a bit of inspo, we'll call it, as much as it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be. It's a good sport. It brings some good people together, mate.
It does. It does. It
Yeah.
definitely does. And I just look forward to it. Oh, before we sign off real quick, so far they've listed the 2 events. They got the log press that's going up. They got the monster log, which is 280, and the lighter one, which is 250. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm cool with that, man.
Me too.
I'm not an opportunist in any kind of way, but like if the events align, cool.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's what it is.
Well, those first two events, those are cool first 2 events. I don't know what they're going to do next because they try to change it to an extent, but they've done the deadlift ladder so many times. They've done the axle. So I just don't know. I don't know what variation of that will be this year. You know, you kind of think it'll be a heavier deadlift, or maybe they even do a different height. I just thought of that last night. They might do a different height deadlift.
I don't think they'll do a deadlift ladder again anyway. Because they've done the deadlift ladder, then it was axle for reps, and they've done the deadlift ladder. So I'm going to presume it'll be for reps again. You'd think, but I could be wrong. Who knows? But I'm going to guess it. I'm going to guess it's going to be something for reps. But what implement that is, like a deadlift bar or an axle or whatever else they can think of, who knows?
Steeplechase is one that I see a lot. I would not be surprised to see steeplechase in there for the sandbag.
Yeah,
because the dragging the sleds was from a couple years ago, and then last year they've done that several times. You know, or bag to shoulder. I would be surprised if they didn't do that, or even like a shield carry. I could see him doing something like that. Do a shield carry for magnets.
Shield carry hurts, man. I done it at Europe's last year, like the Giants Live one, which is that there. That hurt.
Yeah,
that hurts.
Yeah, no, that
hide from it, man. Yeah, that's it. But they might do that. Yeah.
That would be cool if they did. I don't know. We'll see. I just think about it. You know, they've done certain things, and I just wonder. You know, that's one. I wonder if they do like a Hercules hold, something like that. I don't know if they have the equipment for that, which they could. Who knows?
If they've done something like that, I think it's more like the logistics and the timing. Because again, it's a well-fired oiled machine, OSG Worlds. Everything has to be congruent. I don't think they'll ever bring that in, but if they ever did, it'll be in the finals as well. But that's a top 10, and you need to then think how long are people's grips. Who knows? It could, but I think it's more of a rarer individual event.
Realistically, it'd have to be like a top 10 thing, just because you can't put 400 athletes through something like that.
No. And then if they do something like that, it'd probably be, if it's in the finals, it'll be 2 at a time probably, because that's more common. It's always like 2 at a time for the finals.
Also, I saw, Dean, it looks like they only got 6 events this year.
Yeah.
2 in the final.
Yeah. I would be a lot more inclined if they definitely stuck with 3.
Yeah.
But you know what? If that's their decision, then that's their decision.
What the reason was for that? You think it's based off of time?
Yeah. I reckon there's that amount of competitors, and it runs fast as well. But it's like there's so many bodies.
Yeah.
And that's cool. But
Somebody, I told you we get off here. We will. Last question. Somebody like Brian Shaw added some weight classes this year to his show, and he always does 8 events. If he adds our weight class, is that a show you'd be looking to do?
Yeah, absolutely.
Me too.
But it's getting over there, and you know he's an open, and a lot of opens don't know any better apart from open, and that's fine. And trying to understand weight classes, which they don't. And that's fine, but who knows, mate? But if it happens, he opens that class up, I'm game.
Good deal. Me too. Dean, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming on here. It's been a blast.
Mate, it's an absolute pleasure.
Good rest of your day, buddy.
Cheers, my man. Thank you.